turn. Oh my goodness.
You might be wondering what's happening here. Well, instead of explaining it to you, let us rather show you. Let's start from the beginning.
Fancy seeing you here.
How's it going, girls?
We are planning. New cup of coffee, new salsa cake. I'm planning Ukraine.
Sweet potato.
Yes, that's right. We're planning a trip to Ukraine. But who are we? Well, this is Hanna, Sofia, Maria, Andreas, and Caroline. We are the communications team from the National Office of YWAM Norway.
What is important to bring on the journey?
We chose to travel to Ukraine so that we could hear stories, visit ministries and projects, and to see what life is like in the midst of war. Why? To share stories of hope.
I'm excited.
Safe and sound, huh?
I'm happy.
To get to Ukraine, we had to travel through Poland, which gave us a day of discovering and walking the streets of Krakow. We saw multiple Ukrainian flags and had conversations with locals showing much support to their neighbors. And then, we were ready to go.
Small doors.
It's not that way. And then over there.
This way and this way.
I think it's 5:25 probably. Going to the train, take the train to the border, and then into Ukraine and Ternopil. So we're really excited, but tired.
Yeah.
Making the decision of going to a country in war wasn't something we took lightly. But what if the stories we shared could lead people to help? When we thought about the impact we could make, we concluded that it was worth it. With that being said, we had no idea what to expect. How would it really be to see the consequences of the war firsthand? How would we react to possible unforeseen war situations? How hard would it be to hear heartbreaking stories from the war?
Did you sleep? Oh, I slept maybe like 2 hours. Okay, what happened now?
Passport control to enter the train to Ukraine. We almost missed the train.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
I'm a little nervous now, actually.
Check. Got through the passport check. Here's our train to Ukraine.
Our visit to Ukraine was only going to be a week long, and we had a lot of things we wanted to do. Sofia was going to film a documentary, and we were also gathering stories and interviews for newspapers and social media. All this to create a fundraising campaign for bringing more humanitarian aid to Ukraine.
In Ukraine.
Yes, we're in Ukraine now. It feels unreal.
I think
don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, honestly.
As we stepped on Ukrainian ground, many of us felt a change of atmosphere. It was the first moment we were faced with the reality of the war. It was heavy and sad, as if everything was going in slow motion around us. The train was being filled with soldiers saying goodbye to their loved ones with tears in their eyes, as they were on their way to the front line in eastern Ukraine.
How are you?
Andreas talked to some soldiers from the Ukrainian army who were going back to the front line. They talked about their experiences from the war and even showed some graphic video clips. We also met a mother and a son that were going back to Ukraine after fleeing to Germany. They were open about sharing the true colors of the war through their eyes.
I live in Germany 2 months. Like a refugee.
Okay, goodbye.
Arriving in Ternopil, we met our contact person Sasha from YWAM Ukraine, who was going to be with us for the whole trip. He brought us to YWAM Ternopil, where we were going to stay the next coming days. The next day, we visited some of the ministries and projects that YWAM Norway has been supporting, such as food distribution and temporary housing. People who had to flee from the east to Ternopil had to leave everything they owned behind, and they have no work or income to provide for themselves and their families.
Today we're visiting the Philadelphia Church here in the city. That is one of 32 churches that has helped refugees since the war broke out in February. And we're just here seeing how they hand out food, how they hand out clothes behind me. It's amazing to see how they're reaching out to their community and to the refugees that has come to Ternopil the last month.
We could see that the church has played a big role in helping refugees, and also how the crisis has brought the churches closer together for the bigger goal of helping the needy. Throughout the day, we interviewed a lot of people and heard heartbreaking stories of how the war has impacted individuals in different ways. A story that was especially impactful was the one of Andrei, Victoria, and Leon that escaped from Mariupol. It was so impactful that Sofia decided on making a documentary of their story and spent a lot of her time with them.
Look how fast we are!
Whoa, this is so fast.
You can go out and like stop for a little bit.
Yeah, that would be great.
These are Russian. If you want, we can climb at the tanks.
You wanna climb it?
Yes, do you also want to climb at it? Whoa.
Okay, let's go.
And while Sofia was filming for the documentary, we got to visit a mayor just outside of Ternopil.
He's the mayor of this town.
Hi, Hanna.
My name is Roman Polikrovsky. I serving as the mayor of this town. It's already the third term for me, and I see this opportunity to serve God through the place where I'm at the moment.
How do you take God with you in your work?
Війни і всього, що з тим пов'язано.
I'm a Christian since born. I thought that I know how to pray. But when I became a mayor, I understood that I need to pray even more because you're facing some of the challenges that you understand that only God can help you through this time, and so you rely on God completely.
Вибачайся, мені треба, до мене військовим дзвонить, я мушу.
Okay, he has to answer the phone. It's from the army. Yeah, нема питань.
Зазвичай він дзвонить, коли треба.
The phone call the mayor got was directly from the army, which usually means that a soldier from his area has died. In Ternopil alone, there have been over 315 funerals of soldiers. But this time, luckily, no one had died.
So I wondered what is the most difficult thing about leading through wartime?
Це також для нас дуже важко.
So it's one of the most difficult things that I experienced when I received the news that somebody killed a soldier and I have to inform their families that this has happened. Yeah, so it's very difficult emotionally and goes through all of this, knowing that you bring such a bad news to the families.
If you were to describe Ukraine with one word or just a few words in the season, what would be the word you chose for Ukraine?
Двома словами написав, я би назвав це переможний дух.
I probably will describe with two words. It's the spirit of victory.
After the interview with the mayor, he showed us around his village. We got to visit their castle, a war museum, and a school that they would turn into housing for refugees.
It's the siren. Oh my goodness, it's a little, makes me feel a little nervous.
Before we came to Ukraine, we were warned that we would hear air raid sirens. But as we heard it for the first time, it really shook us. We would hear the sirens either from somewhere in the city or even from our phones. The first half of our trip was now over, and we began to understand what happens within a country in war. We could feel the heaviness and heartbreak of the war, but at the same time, we saw people supporting and helping one another. We learned about their culture, experienced their hospitable spirit, and heard stories that impacted us. We saw a country seeking God and how He is comforting people even when life is at its worst. We saw people boldly stepping up where it would be easier to give up. And this was not even the end. But we didn't know that what was coming next would be even more impactful.